I'm dropping in tonight to share some very gentle tools to support your nervous system and perhaps even support processing or beginning to process big emotions. So much to process with this recent senseless, tragic, violent event here in Metro Detroit. It just didn't feel right to put out my Workin' Wednesday that I had planned for. So instead, I'm going to share these tools, and I hope that you find them supportive. Feel free to share them with anyone that could benefit. Very gentle ways to integrate our brain and body, support our nervous system. Think of it as a moving meditation, and again, just a chance to gently start to process emotions. There's so many intense emotions that people are sharing that they're experiencing, from anger and fear and frustration and hopelessness. And it's important to allow those emotions to come forth and acknowledge them. And then some of the tools tonight will help you with processing them. Now, a lot of us, as we take in the information, whether it's, I heard it on the radio myself last night, I don't watch the news. Perhaps you've seen it on the news or heard the stories over and over. I would encourage you to see if you could step away from hearing it over and over and process in small bites that work for you. And every time we hear that or talk about it, our nervous system can go into the fight, flight, or freeze state. And part of that is the eye position. Our eyes are either out here in this hypervigilance in the periphery, or it can lock in certain positions. But the important thing is we're not crossing the midline. And we need to be able to cross the midline to start to move through the trauma and to start to allow our systems to begin to process. So very easy, gentle way, our brain buttons. Put one hand on the belly button, the other hand makes a C. Put the thumb and the first finger where the collarbones and breastbone intersect. Just gently rubbing that area. Now this may be enough for your system, and that's great. You're going to get the benefit of helping to bring your body back to the midline, to the safe space, to the home base. But if you feel like you can add another layer, go ahead and add your eyes scanning side to side. And if you try it, it doesn't feel right, just bring those eyes back to stillness in the center. And then switch to the other side, using both sides of the brain and body to help integrate when we feel discombobulated, when we feel that dissonance in our brain, body, and heart space. And from here, going into another opportunity to connect to midline, one hand on the belly button, two fingers behind the ear for balance buttons. Just holding this position, you may close your eyes or leave them open. Feel the breath coming underneath your hand, that low belly breath. Balance buttons are great at helping us to balance our emotions, balance so that we can stand and walk forward again. So many different emotions that run the spectrum, and they're all valid and they're all important to acknowledge. Go ahead and switch to the other side, because our brain needs both sides to come together and work together and be able to cross the midline. Once again, under stress, it can become very difficult to cross the midline. Notice your breath. See if you can bring in a deeper, fuller breath, because hearing of yesterday's tragedy can truly take our breath away. Let's do a brief tapping bit of work for the fear paralysis reflex, placing one hand on the breastbone, the other hand on top. We tap 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's switch hands. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Switch again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's go out to the sides of our arms. Imagine giving yourself a warm embrace, a warm hug, or perhaps that warm embrace and hug for someone else. Taking the fear paralysis tapping here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And from here, dropping both hands down to the belly. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Deeply breathing in support and a sense of connection and community. And exhale and try on breathing out some of the intensity, some of the fear, some of the frustration. From here, let's explore movements that will help us start to move through some of the heavy emotions. You could do this standing, you could do this lying down, you can do this whole sequence, standing, lying down, or seated. I'm gonna lie down for the next portion because I just feel some heaviness after trying to move through this day and yet also give myself space to process. I'm gonna lie down and feel the support of the ground. And in this position, I'm gonna take a gentle cross crawl. And this can feel very difficult, especially when there's stress. We can feel like we can't cross the midline. That's okay, just notice it, don't judge it, and work to cross the midline and do the best you can. Noticing your breath, noticing we're reconnecting, recalibrating our nervous system, and rest. Feel the weight of your body releasing into the ground. Feel the ground and the earth rising to support you. Now, same arm as leg, lift it up and lower it down. Other side and lower it down. This is where the heavy emotions will come forth. Allow them to bubble up. Allow the emotions to come up. Allow the emotions to flow. And I've got a bug flying around. And relax. Try to pause in between and release. Feel the heaviness and the weight. Again, don't be afraid to let the emotions, all the big emotions, come forth. This same-sided or homolateral movement can help bring those emotions forward. See if you can let the breath flow and pause for just a little bit longer in between. Again, feel the support of the ground or the surface underneath you. Pause for a moment, just acknowledging those emotions that have come forth. And now into the cross crawl, wrist to opposite thigh. We always want to begin and end with the cross body movement, giving ourselves space and time to process with the same-sided homolateral movement, but always coming back to the cross body movements. Deep, deep breath. And sometimes we feel like we could cross crawl for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Give yourself as much opportunity to come to this place because it can help you move beyond the shock in the immediate processing of trauma. And relax. You can keep your knees bent or straighten your legs, cross at the ankles, bring the arms in front like you're going to clap but miss. Interlace the fingers and bend the arms, resting the arms on the chest. If your shoulders and wrists and hands don't have this available right now, just make an X with your arms. That's great too. And holding this position, you may keep your eyes opened or closed. Place the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Again, coming back to that safe space. It's hard to feel safe when random acts of violence happen like this. The goal is to try and find a little bit of safety in your body, in your mind, in your heart space. Come back to a space that can feel safe, and it may take some time. Staying with your breath. Take a few more deep breaths in here. And exhale, knowing that this hookup position is always a great tool to come back to anytime you need to calm your system. Let's slide out of the hookup with the arms. Keep the forearms crossed and just rest the fingertips lightly on your forehead. These are the positive point hookups from Brain Gym. And it's really hard to find positivity when we learn of situations like this happening and tragic loss. Putting the positive points in can help us to try and move forward with positive energy, to be the support and be the light that our communities need. Go ahead and uncross the ankles and the hands, coming to the midline. Here, or you can just keep the hands apart a little bit if that's more comfortable. Take another deep breath in, exhale, and release. Gently roll to the side, coming up to a seated position, and we'll just finish with a gentle walk for the midline. The top hand starting at the collarbone breastbone intersection. Bring the other hand underneath. Hold here. Give a little pressure inward. Sometimes we have to feel reality in the moment, feel that we are present instead of being in that fight, flight, or freeze state. And take the other hand underneath. We're going to walk down the midline, bringing us to the present moment, feeling the interface with our body. Take the top hand underneath. Keep gently connecting and interfacing, and move the top hand underneath. Come up to the top again. Let's begin again. Just gently walking the midline. Any of these tools would be great to do as a standalone. You can do these before bed to try and calm your system with the hopes of finding restorative sleep. Nice and gentle. See if you can find a bit of deeper breath. Keep one hand at the bottom and one at the top. Give a stretch, lengthening out that midline, that safe space, because we all kind of want to curl up into that fetal position. This is helping us find length and to stand again. And then press the hands together and gently lengthen again and pressing together. I hope that this very gentle, moving meditation that integrates the brain, body, and the heart space serves you well as you begin to process and move through emotions and to help dial down that fight, flight, or freeze. Thanks for joining in. Wishing you all peace.